Your problem is from the left, it's not from the right. Big problem from the left. It's from within our country. That's a bigger, in my opinion, a bigger danger than China or Russia.
The fear is from the left, and it's from within our government right now. This is what they are currently doing. Donald Trump on his way into the courtroom today. It's like a daily occurrence now that we get this 5 minutes of Donald Trump talking about what's going on in the world, in the country, and commenting on the Biden administration, because this is the only campaigning he's allowed to do. Because the authoritarians in charge of the judicial system and the White House are keeping him from campaigning for office. That's the plan. That's the goal, because it offsets the fact that Joe Biden can't even leave his basement, let alone put a sentence together. So instead of having Trump crisscrossing around the country and doing rallies and campaigning, they're trying to keep him confined. So here he was on his way into the courtroom this morning, and he had plenty to say about Joe Biden abandoning our ally, Israel.
Thank you very much. What Biden is doing with respect to Israel is disgraceful. If any Jewish person voted for Joe Biden, they should be ashamed of themselves. He's totally abandoned Israel, and nobody can believe it. I guess he feels good about it because he did it as a political decision. You have to do the right decision, not the political decision. But he did a very bad thing. I just want to let you know that we've just filed a major motion in the appellate division concerning the absolutely unconstitutional gag order, where I'm essentially not allowed to talk to you about anything meaningful that's going on in the case, and many good things are going on with the case. It shouldn't have been filed. They had this morning the top legal scholars in the country. This is a Frankenstein case. They took a dead misdemeanor, they attached it to a dead alleged federal felony and zapped it back into life. So many of us are just amazed to watch this actually walk into court, because it's not a recognizable crime that any of us have seen. That's Jonathan Turley. I've been doing this for 60 years and I don't understand what crime he's been charged with. Nobody understands this. I just don't get the crime. There's no evidence of any crime whatsoever. This is a sham. That's Alan Dershowitz. And these are people that they speak their minds. They're not for me, they're for justice. This is another one. This is without precedent in American history, only with the desperation of President Joe Biden and his fanatic left-wing enforcers did it become possible to think about arresting and jailing their major political opponent. This case must be taken out of Judge Merchan's hands because it's totally conflicted. Judge Merchan is totally conflicted, like probably no judge has ever been conflicted before. Here's another one, Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg. His prosecution of former President Donald Trump violates both the federal and state constitutions. This is a prosecutor making it up as he goes along. Due process worthy of the names does not tolerate that. So these are statements. This is Andrew McCarthy made that statement, highly respected. A judge is allowing wide scope of information that has absolutely nothing to do with the case. That's Rebecca Rosewood on Fox News. Today we have Rick Scott here, Senator Rick Scott. We have other politicians here. We have people, many people in support. The outside of this building is closed down like Fort Knox. Nobody's ever seen. We have so many police down here, New York's finest, and they are New York's finest. They're just told what to do, but they don't have them at Columbia. They don't have them at NYU or any other places. This is like an armed camp down here, and you have nothing to worry about. Believe me, your problem is from the left. It's not from the right. Big problem from the left. It's from within our country. That's a bigger, in my opinion, a bigger danger than China or Russia. You have it from the outside and you have it from within. From within is a bigger danger to our country, and it's from the left, not from the right. But Rick Scott's here, and he said you can't go after political persecutions. This is a shame. This should not be happening in our country. And Senator Ted Cruz put out a very strong statement about attacking Donald Trump and the American voter. It's an attack on both. This is purely and simply election interference. There is no case. So that's the way it is, but here we sit after 2.5 weeks, and I think you'll see some very revealing things today, and I want to thank my lawyers. They've done a very good job, but I'd rather thank them after it's over as opposed to now, because we don't want them to get carried away. There's no case. Should have never been brought. Alvin Bragg didn't want to bring it. Cy Vance didn't want to bring it, and he didn't. He left. He didn't bring it. Everybody's looked at it. Southern District didn't bring it. Federal elections didn't bring it. It's also a federal case, not a state case, which they're not allowed to do, but these are minor details. So I just want to thank you for being here, and we'll see you later in the afternoon. Thank you very much.
What do you think of the Stormy Daniels testimony?
I just want to hear about the testimony.
A power move from Donald Trump, and a good one at that. Did you hear what he was saying there? And it's a perfect juxtaposition about what we heard from Hillary Clinton this morning and what we're hearing from the left on a regular basis about trying to scare you for the dangers that might happen if Donald Trump is elected, how it'll be the end of our democracy. And of course, we're not a democracy, but facts never get in the way of their rhetoric, that our country will be, the media will be thrown in jail and put out of business, political opponents will be there. All of these fantasies that they're laying out there about what will happen if Donald Trump is elected. And meanwhile, right now, before our very eyes, every single day, we are seeing what this government is doing, what this president is doing, what this Justice Department is doing, what the party members of this president, the compatriots and allies within their political party in Manhattan and in Fulton County, Georgia, are doing to help this president. We're seeing it play out before our eyes. The fear, the danger is not from this imaginary thing that they keep telling you the right is going to do. The fear is from the left, and it's from within our government right now. This is what they are currently doing. And it is amazing if you go back and look at everything they said about the charges that were brought against Donald Trump that we're seeing play out right now in this criminal trial. When the charges were first brought about a year ago, I think it was, most legal analysts, especially even those on the left, the ones on MSNBC, the ones on CNN, the ones who right now are wringing their hands about how important this case is, back then, they were laughing about this. They thought this is really dubious. I don't see anything there. I don't see how they can bring these charges for the same reasons that he just read out from that piece of paper. That number one, they're charging him with a federal crime, and that's not for the local DA to deal with. The Frankenstein thing, where they're sort of putting two dead issues together to try to make one new live issue, that's not real. That shouldn't be. They were saying all of this back then. But now, because of the disintegration of the case in Georgia, the disintegration of the cases brought by Jack Smith, where one is now pending an immunity decision from the Supreme Court and the other one is postponed indefinitely down in Florida, because those were all trumped up as well and completely full of miscalculations, if not complete corruption. This is all they've got. This is the only case they've got that's actually made it to trial. So now this is an existential threat to the future of our country. The same trial that they were mocking and making fun of last year when the charges were first brought. Go ahead and don't just believe me. Google it for yourself. The facts are all out there. That's exactly what these guys were saying back then. But now this is what they got. So this is what they got to work with. And the reason that they're so grim right now is because they see how it's playing out. Listen, I don't want to blow smoke up your Watusi there. He's probably going to get convicted in New York, but it has nothing to do with the law. It has nothing to do with justice. It has to do with, in my opinion, a judge who is allowing this to go forward because he wants to see a conviction. See, the secret sauce in all of this, just my opinion, but the secret sauce is if, in fact, this judge is biased and motivated to convict Donald Trump, all he's got to do is make sure the jury instructions accommodate that goal. People always forget the power the judge has with jury instructions. When you tell the jury, this is how you are supposed to reach your verdict, and this is what you can evaluate and what you shouldn't evaluate in reaching the verdict, then listen, you reverse engineer it if you're the judge. You're the judge and you're corrupt, and you say, okay, I want to reach a guilty verdict. So, how can I craft these jury instructions to get to that end? And then you just leave it in their hands. And when you're dealing with a jury pool that voted overwhelmingly against Donald Trump, and they're living in Manhattan where they're surrounded by negative media all the time about Donald Trump, then, I mean, it's a pretty easy formula to get to the final result that you're looking for. So don't get me wrong. I do think he's going to be convicted, but here's the beauty of it. See, he got convicted in the civil case involving E. Jean Carroll, right? And what happened? His popularity increased because the American people are smarter than what Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden and the Democrats and the MSNBC analysts believe they are. See, they think you're stupid, and you're not stupid. You can see exactly what's going on here, and you know exactly what's going on here. So if they do end up convicting him, I suspect his popularity will increase because the American people will see him as a victim. The majority of Americans right now do believe that the law is being used against him as a political weapon. The majority of Americans don't think he can get a fair trial because the majority of Americans are smart and they're aware and they're fair and they see exactly what we all see. So listen, he's doing a great job. He's doing whatever he can in those 5 minutes that he's got to be able to get his message out. And then this thing is going to be over. They're probably going to convict him. They'll immediately appeal. And then it won't get resolved until after the election. And then he can go back on the campaign trail. And just you wait to see what kind of campaigning is. You have any idea what the rallies are going to look like after this trial, especially if they convict him? Now, that said, I just want to add one more wild card there. All it takes is one. It's the beauty of our system. All it takes is one juror to look at this and say, hold on a minute. Seriously, hold on a minute. One juror. And remember, we haven't even heard the defense yet. Just wait till we hear the defense that they put up and the evidence that they bring in as a defense. But after that, we need one juror to just recognize and say, hold on. Paying somebody money for a non-disclosure agreement so they don't tell a story to the media about you and harm your political campaign, that's a crime now? Because if you believe that Donald Trump is the only politician to have ever done that, you're on something. I mean, you literally are like, you are kidding yourself. I assure you, and I mean every politician of the modern era has done this. And any competent juror that doesn't have an agenda against Donald Trump knows that and recognizes that if they criminalize this kind of behavior, we're done. We're done. And maybe we are done. But I just want to, as much as I think that he is going to get convicted, I do like to keep open the possibility. It just takes one. And maybe, just maybe, in New York, maybe we've got that one.